Christopher Hitchens dies after battle with cancer. British author, literary critic, and journalist Christopher Hitchens has died, aged 62, according to Vanity Fair magazine. He died from pneumonia, a complication of the esophageal cancer he was suffering from, at a Texas hospital. Vanity Fair said there would never be another like Christopher. He was survived by his wife, Carol Blue, and their daughter, Antonia, and his children from a previous marriage, Alexander and Sophia. Vanity Fair editor Graydon Carter described the writer as someone of ferocious intellect who was as vibrant on the page as he was at the bar. Those who read him felt they knew him, and those who knew him were profoundly fortunate souls. Mr. Hitchens was born in Portsmouth in 1949 and graduated from Oxford in 1970. He began his career as a journalist in Britain in the 1970s and later moved to New York, becoming contributing editor to Vanity Fair in November 1992. Cynical contrarian. He was diagnosed with cancer in June 2010 and documented his declining health in his Vanity Fair column. In an August 2010 essay for the magazine, he wrote, "I love the imagery of struggle. I sometimes wish I were suffering in a good cause, or risking my life for the good of others, instead of just being a gravely endangered patient." Speaking on BBC's Newsnight program in November that year, he reflected on a life that he knew would be cut short. It does concentrate the mind, of course, to realize that your life is more rationed than you thought it was. Radicalized by the 1960s, Hitchens was often arrested at political rallies and was kicked out of the Labour Party over his opposition to the Vietnam War. He became a correspondent for the International Socialism magazine. In later life, he moved away from the left. Following the September 11th attacks, he argues with Noam Chomsky and others who suggested that U.S. foreign policy had helped to cause a tragedy. He supported the Iraq War and backed George W. Bush for re-election in 2004. It led him to being accused of betrayal. One former friend called him a lying, opportunistic, cynical contrarian. Another, a drink-sodden ex-Trotskyist Popinja. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce those. But he could dish out scathing critiques himself. Bill Clinton he called a cynical, self-seeking, ambitious thug. Henry Kissinger, a war criminal, and Mother Teresa, a fraudulent fanatic. He also famously fell out with his brother, the Mail on Sunday journalist Peter Hitchens, although the pair were reconciled. Prolific writer. The publication of his 2007 book, God Is Not Great, made him a major celebrity in his adopted homeland of the United States, and he happily took on the role of the country's best-known atheist. He maintained his devout atheism after being diagnosed with cancer in 2010, telling one interviewer, "No evidence or argument has yet been presented which would change my mind, but I like surprises." He wrote from numerous publications including the Times Literary Supplement, the Daily Express, the London Evening Standard, Newsday, and The Atlantic. He was the author of 17 books, including The Trial of Henry Kissinger, God Is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything, and a memoir, Hitch 22. A collection of his essays, arguably, was released this year.